For our South Bunbury Football Club members and loyal supporters, we have managed to bring together two icons of our great club. Firstly, Hall of Famer, patron, former president and brilliant administrator Arthur Buswell, and our 1984 and 1985 League Premiership coach Gerry McNeil. Following a meeting and interview, a special relationship was formed that led South Bunbury Club to be a dominant force in the South Football League in 1984 and 1985. Welcome Arthur Buswell and Gerry McNeil. Arthur, our loyal supporters are wondering just how this coaching coup was achieved and just how was it possible for our great club to secure Gerry McNeil as coach for the 1984 and 85 season.
So then I knew the Nesbitt family very well, with Ted and his Trevor's grandfather, but I also knew that he had been appointed coach of the football manager at Subiaco. And I thought, well, so I rang him, and I knew that he had been playing at Osborne Park, and I think they'd just won the premiership. And so I just said to him, look, I want to coach. And he said, well, I want to coach. He said, leave it with me for a couple of days. And I did. Then he rang me back and gave me Gerald's telephone number, said that he may be interested. So I rang him. Remember, I rang him and I said, would you be prepared to come down and talk to us? He said, oh yeah, we'll do that. So we put him up in the motel in Forest Avenue. That night we went to my home in Preston Street, all the board and all that, and I had a big games room there, and we played pool and we had a meal. And the next day we went to Kevin Herb's and had a barbecue lunch. And when we got there, we started talking. Well, actually, we met Gerald at the football club first. We offered him a contract, and he seemed very interested in it. And the discussions continued over at Herbie's, and I felt then that, we were going to be on a winner, but he'd take it. And the only thing that we were concerned about was to get a job for him. And Kevin Herb out of the blue just said, well, leave that to me. And he rang me the next day and said, there's a vacancy at the Bunbury Catholic College. They want a phys ed teacher. So we arranged an interview, and Gerry come down, had the interview, got the job, and was appointed coach of South Bunbury.
Arthur, on the interview, Gerry, was it you knew he was the right ideal fit for our great club?
Yes, did.
What made you make that decision?
Well, one of the things that impressed me more than probably anything else was that we drew a contractor for 2-year coaching, and it included so much per game, and he knocked it back, which surprised us. He said, no, that's not fair. He said, do a contract for coaching and do another contract for games played. So in other words, if he had to come down or say broke his collarbone or done a knee, and well, the club didn't have to pay him. And that was just, we'd never heard of anything like that before. So we accepted that. But it was just that his ideas that changed so much, he came up with some things which we'd never ever been used to in South Bunbury. Just for example, for as long as I'd ever been in the club, the league team used to train up the top end of the ground, and the poor Colts and reserves would be down the bottom. Well, he stopped all that. So he put every player on the same level. In other words, every player had to prove that they were worthy to play league football. And that really, the players were absolutely wrapped with that, because there were some blokes that would never play league footy, but he just wanted all the players, and he completely gelled them, not only the players, but he gelled the whole club together. Whatever I mean. And we made arrangements for him to come down, and not that he came from Perth, because he couldn't come down for the wind-up, which was rather good really in the end, because Duper was there. We didn't want to be embarrassed by him there and all that, So that pleased us, that. But one of the things that they did do was that they gave him a copy of the South Saga. So he took it home and read it. And when he came back to Bunbury, and the whole place was packed. We didn't know really how many had turned up, but George was bloody packed with members. And he mentioned things out of the South Saga, and I say that really took the club exactly where we wanted to be, and there were so many people that thought, well, geez, we couldn't do much better than what we're going to get. He was able to gel the whole place together, like we had no trouble getting the required people to run the footy club. Like interchange stewards and timekeepers and all runners and, and I mean in all three grades, we didn't have any trouble. And after he came down and that, we thought, and we looked at the coaching side of the club, because if we were going to make a change with Deeper, we had to make a change all through. Because I just felt that's where we had to go, because we weren't going anywhere. I mean, premierships are damn hard to win. And if you haven't got the right attitude, you'll never win one. So we had a bloke by the name of Johnny Carter, who was coaching our under-16s. So we interviewed him to coach our Colts. And he was very impressive, because the thing that he said first, he said, yes, I'd love to coach it, but he said, I'm not coaching it to win a premiership. And we thought, he said, I will coach the kids to prepare them to play league football, because that's my job. He said, if I win a premiership, well-being. So if I don't, so that impressed us, so we had no hesitation in appointing him. And then we wanted someone in our reserves that knew a bit about the club. So out of the blue, I went down to Bow Repairs and approached Brent Roberts. And I just asked him, would he be interested in coaching? He said, he'd never given it much thought. He said, oh. So he said, I'll ring you next day. And he rang me next day and said he'd accepted. So we had the three coaches in place. But then Jerry decided that we had Ray Buswell and Brian Cunningham were selectors, and had been selectors and with Duper for years and years. Brian, he was a bloke that just didn't really care much about the Colts and the reserves, but he was always just a league bloke, And so Jerry said, no, what we're going to do is have the Colts and the reserves coaches as league selectors, and we then, with Jerry, we approached Ray Rendell and made him the off-field coach, or chairman of selectors. So we had three coaches, and with Rendell. So, everything was in some place to get us going and all that. And the other thing was that one Tuesday night he spoke to me, and after we'd played a couple of scratch matches, and we were looking pretty good, and I think he was very happy with the players that he had, and he asked us, would we be in a position to get another running player? And we said, oh yeah, we did, because the one thing he did have in 84 and 85, we never had any travelling players. They're all local, all, like yourself, that had come from Bustleton to play and all that. So he gave me Clayton Lewis's telephone number. So I rang him and told him could he be at Jandicott on the Thursday, which he was. I picked him up, took him around town, had a little bit of lunch, and before he left, he signed a 2-year contract. And he was one of the, he was tough and he was hard. And he was the type of player that we were looking for. But I think the thing that, more than anything else, is that, as I said, they were all local players, and when they started to have success, you know, the members come from everywhere, and you know, it was just unbelievable. I mean, it's hard to imagine if you, and in the 127-year history of the club, no one has ever been in the position to be as the president of the club have won 3 premierships on one day. And, you know, that day was something that always has and always will stick in my mind, you know. We did win 3 in 1959, but the under-18s were controlled by the Junior Football Association. So we went from winning 3 premierships, and then, of course, the following year, we went through undefeated, ready to offer Jerry another 3-year contract, and but East Perth got in before us. And even the way that was done was, people could understand the man that we had as the coach and the way that he was doing things, because he'd done the right thing. He come around here and spoke to me about it, to say that he would be going to East Perth, and we accepted that. But at the same token, we felt that maybe for what he had achieved here, to help him get the job at East Perth, which, you know, we felt that was good about. But he didn't. What he done, he just said to me, "I'll give you a nod on Friday night," because the story was gonna break in the West Australian the next day. And so Jerry called all the players in and told them that, you know, he wouldn't be going on, that he'd be going back to Perth and going to East Perth. And as he done that, I rang the bell and told the members at the same time. So everybody was on the same footing, and then everyone knew that. So that was probably, I won't say, well, of course there were a lot of people disappointed, but we could never ever consider or take into the fact that he didn't want to improve. And he went to East Perth as, first of all, the football manager, and then Greg Vero wasn't travelling too well, and he was appointed coach of East Perth. So we went from coach of South Bunbury to coaching East Perth. And he brought so much success and so much satisfaction and everything to the football club. You know, we never had, from the time he came to South Bunbury, we never had any problems getting helpers with anything. It didn't matter what we wanted. They were just, you know, we had surplus timekeepers, we had everything. Everyone wanted to put their hand up and just go along with it.
All right. Thank you, Arthur, for that. Jerry, having heard from Arthur, what was it that attracted you and your family to move from Perth to Bunbury and apply for the coaching job at South Bunbury?
Well, Wayne, I'm not sure if we're going to watch this following Arthur, but I think his explanation, one, was so clear, but I think it gives a good indication as to why the club was attractive to me, because he was such a strong leader who had such a good team behind him, and his recall of it is probably going to be a lot better than mine. But I do remember the time talking to Trevor Nisbet after I'd been at Aussie Park for 3 years, and he said, look, this club's got an amazing success, it's got amazing history, it'd be worth your while just having a chat. So after my 3 years at Aussie Park, I came down as Arthur spoke about. And the first thing I remember vividly was not just their desire for more success, but just how unified the board were in terms of, you know, like I caught up socially with them, and like there just didn't seem to be the bickering or the backfighting or the things that sort of make a good club. And I've always believed the culture being a direct reflection of leadership. It shone through that this club had some people that knew where they were going, and then it was just a matter of, did I fit in? So I suppose the decisions then were around finding a job to go with it, because from a football perspective I saw it as a great opportunity to one, coach at a very successful club that I was told had a pretty good list, and importantly I was still playing, so I wanted to keep playing. So playing coaches weren't that common, even though it was still around. So to be a playing coach was important. So I came down, and again, for those who had never been to the club, you're impressed as soon as you walk in when you go through the club and you look at the memorabilia and the book that I was given to have a read through. Just told me a story that, hey, if I'm going to go somewhere that's going to give you good support and has great history, then why not have a go here?
Ian Cale, our club games record holder, 277 games, once stated that you were ahead of your time with coaching philosophies, and your playing group can certainly agree with that back in 84-85. Tell us about your coaching philosophies.
Wish I could remember it all, Watto. At the time, I think one of the things that helped me was the fact that I was a phys editor, so I'd coached for a few years and realised the value of being fit. We had a terrific group of local lads who all wanted to train hard, wanted to train well, but I think I'd come up through a bit of a school of, the harder you train, the better you are, and I think we tried to be a little bit smarter. So with people like Les Faber and Ray Rendell and the other two coaches, Brent and John, getting together and just working out that if we trained a bit smarter, and I can recall things like training with footballs, for instance. You can run all pre-season, but if you're not touching a football, well, then your skills will drop off. In terms of game style, I'm not sure whether it was, I think we all think that there's some mystery. I think the bottom line is we had the best list, we had the best players, and then adapting your coaching to the best players. So we had players like you, Watto, and Oldie and Pinger, and the Sheriff Cale and Colin West, and people who had good experience. So we had a great mix of senior players, and then the club had done such a great job developing their juniors that people like Brad McDougall and Finton Maguire and Peter Cransberg and Wayne Hares and the 17, 18-year-olds, and I've missed out a lot of names, but you get where I'm coming from, I hope, in terms of the mix of seniors with juniors. They just had an appetite to learn. So whatever game plan we came up with, they embraced it. We all knew what we were meant to be doing. Whether we did it every week or not was, we're not sure. But I think at the time, the thing that I recall as a coach is that, geez, with this group here, the plan that we've got, they're trying to carry it out. And so whether it be trying to run with the ball or protect your teammate or some of those slogans that get thrown around by most coaches, I think the bit in my favour was I had a group of people, one, they were able to do it, but two, they wanted to do it for each other. And that chemistry meant you look like a good coach when all that works.
An important aspect of successful coaching is your interaction with board members. They must have been perfect for our success.
The board were terrific because they gelled, I think was the terminology that Arthur used, and I think that connectivity filtered through to everybody else. So we all felt part of the club. So the players were connected, whether it be across the teams or within the team. The board were smart, and they did the hard yards. You could see them there helping out. It wasn't just wear your jacket around and wait till you win a game and get a free beer. They were there getting their hands dirty. So right from the top, we knew that you're going to get support if we do the right thing. So as players, we wanted to obviously perform well for individual sake, but from a team point of view, to give a lot of other people a lot of joy, which Arthur's mentioned, brought a lot of people to the club, and I'd bet that there was probably already a lot of people willing to help South out. So to be part of a winning formula was led by the board and then followed by the rest of us.
On 1984, 3 grades, Colts, Reserves and League, win the grand final. This must hold a special memories for you and your footy career. Must be.
It was an amazing day. It's one that the great thing about connecting with people 40 years on, for instance, is to hear their view of what that day meant for them. And even though I can't claim to know all the people that played that day. I know John with the Colts, Brent with the reserves, and our league boys. You share something special. And I know I caught up with Wayne Hares, and he, I think, captured it pretty well yesterday when he said that those memories don't come around very often. He said, like as someone who's had a lot of success football and in basketball, predominantly basketball, to hear someone like that say as a 17-year-old, he played in that, the league side that day, and he said, like, that memory will never, ever, ever leave me. And I think that sort of recollection is what, makes us old blokes feel good, because you then realise that those days don't come along very often, and the fact that we had 3 grades able to share them, I don't remember it, but I imagine we had a pretty good party afterwards.
Les Faber was also an integral part of our success. Can you elaborate on his importance?
Well, Les I met when I went to the Catholic College as a phys ed teacher, and I thought, wow, this bloke is a bit different, Les. The thing that impressed me about Les was that he didn't just talk the talk, and I think I needed someone to come down, even though I was a phys ed. I wanted somebody else to help prepare the fitness and conditioning. So Les came down and helped with the fitness and conditioning. Some of the things he bought, what you might remember, things he had games like War, which was sort of like, how can we get fit and kill each other but still be fit enough for the game on Sunday? So Les, to me, just epitomised someone that had never ever played AFL football, although I think we did get him to run out in the twos one day, but he never played the game, but he appreciated what your bodies needed to do to prepare for the game. So 1, he was very smart. 2, he was just engaged, and I love Les, and like a lot of the lads and the people that I met at that time, the great thing about coming back to Bunbury is that you always got some good things to talk about.
What are your memories and thoughts of the infamous 1985 grand final against Collie?
I must say my recall is one of just surprise and shock as to what went on early in the game. But I think the best recall I have is that at least by half time, when Ray Rendell and others had settled us down, and we'd sort of calmed down to realise that if we just play footy, we're a better team than this other mob. So we can probably say we might have, I don't know whether we won the fights, and that's not important, but we definitely won the game. And so the memory of that game was, it obviously sticks in people's minds for the fight. I hope it sticks in their mind because we went through undefeated that year. So the most important thing for us is we weren't going to let anybody or anything get in the way of winning that day. So the joy of winning every game that year and taking the big one when even confronted with a side that wanted to play outside the rules was very satisfying.
Finally, Jerry, is there something you wish to say and leave to our loyal members and supporters?
You've been spoilt, I'd say, to the members over many a year that you've supported and been a member of a club that's given you a lot of joy and a lot of great satisfaction. So all I'd say is stick with them, because it's not easy, I think, in football. In the days when we're talking about the 80s, I think it was a bit easier to get the kids playing and the supporters around the club to offer his volunteers and the rest of it. I think people are so busy these days that to get members now to just reach out and keep the club going is really important. The success will come, but you can't do it. It's not 1 or 2 people. The story we've told today was about a lot of people all contributing a lot of energy, a lot of time, money, effort in a lot of ways. And I think if anything moving forward to the members is, that's got to continue for club to be successful. So enjoy the ride.
Again, South Bunbury Football Club has been fortunate Arthur Buswell secured the services of Gerry McNeil, and South West Football League records always will highlight South's dominance in 1984 and 1985. Thank you again, Arthur and Gerry, on behalf of our members and supporters. C.D. Nullis.